well, you've made it this far. So either you've got a history of knee pain or low back pain or injury, or you're just a little bit curious because of the way your body moves, or some other little tips, little cues that you kind of caught on to. So let's examine. Let's say, first of all, I want to say that most of us have fairly tight hip joints here, so we can't rotate. In fact, you can do this with me real quick. Typically, we want at least 30 to 45 degrees, depending on what activity you're doing. Most of us are deficient when we try to swing our ankle out. That is the way we stretch our glute, not coincidentally. We also tend to have weaker muscles in here, especially on one side. So that is the opposite of this, right? So and also hip flexors. Who has weak hip flexors or has had weak hip flexors? Guilty. So all those things is what we're going to examine. Grab your favorite big book or some other elevated surface that's about 1 to 2 inches high. So you could probably try it with a couple yoga blocks chained together if you have nothing else. But a big book or a weight plate works great. Stand on it with your right leg. Get nice and tall. I'm going to give you a profile view here. So that means my left toes are quite light on the floor and my right foot's nice and anchored. And then I want you to soften the right knee and take your right hand and put it right on your hip, the front of your hip there, that bony part, and literally push it back as you reach your left hand toward your right big toe. Stay long through the crown and out the tail. Hang out there. Do you feel anything? Right here. If no, stand up, do it again. Pull a little bit firmer and reach again. And then find a stance where you can hold on to it for a second. I'm kind of in a hingy stance, so my right knee is right above my right ankle. I'm feeling pretty heavy in the heel on the right foot, and most of my weight is in the right leg, like 90% of it. Anything yet? Anything at all? If you look at me from the front, I've got just a little bit of rotation here, and that helps pull the right hip back more. And if you don't feel anything, you could try getting a little deeper, but sometimes it's on the other end of that. Maybe you just came too far into it and you can't even feel that. So start at the top, push that hip back, rotate your sternum toward that standing leg until you feel some stretch, and just hang out there. Now we've stretched the glute. When you stand up, you can squeeze it. That's what it feels like when it contracts. And this is great stuff to work through when you're warming up. There's many versions of this. This is just one of them. But to get your glutes kind of ready to move, and this pelvic bone, this big scooping flat one here that your glute is covering, to move, to pivot through the two joints that it connects with, is really integral, as well as the femur rotating around the connection to the pelvis. All right, try that. Let me know how it feels. Thanks for joining.